Hi all, we're starting a new chapter and this chapter is about some geometry concepts. So the first thing I want to say to you is there are a lot of terms, a lot of vocabulary in geometry. So I have created an optional assignment for you using a little Quizlet. If you haven't used Quizlet before, it's kind of a digital flashcard system, and it will help you to learn and review some of these terms for geometry. So take a look at that. The other thing that I'm going to try to do as I go through these videos is point out some of that terminology to you. So here in this first video, we're going to be naming points, lines, and angles. I've got some diagrams here on the screen. So points are just what it sounds like. One point in space. We usually represent it as a dot. And for example, in this diagram, we have O, we have X, and we have Y. And that's all we do is we label them with letters. So those are points. Then we can also talk about lines. And lines, one thing you notice about lines here is they have arrows at the end, both ends. So it shows that they go on and on and on and on infinitely in both directions. They are two-dimensional objects. So here we could label this first line O, and we put a little small representation of the line on top of the letter to show that it's a line. Same thing here with line X, Y. And we also put a little representation on top of the letters to show that this is indeed a line. Now, something else, we could also say that there is a line segment represented here. And that is just all the points between X and Y. And this line segment has endpoints at X and Y and does not go on and on and on infinitely. So we could differentiate line segment XY from line XY by just not putting those arrows on the ends of our symbol. Just a little differentiation there for you. All right, so let's talk for a minute about angles. Over here on the right side of the screen, I've got a little picture of some angles. There are a couple of different ways that we can talk about angles. The most usual way that we talk about angles, and by the way, the symbol for angles is just a little greater than or less than little kind of sign, an angle. And then we usually name it by naming the 3 points. One on this part of the angle, the vertex of the angle, where the two line segments or rays come together, and then the point on the other side. And we name them in this order, D, B, C. It's important that the letter for the vertex comes in the middle. So we wouldn't label it DCB. That would mean that the vertex would be C, and that is not the case in this case. So just pointing that out. We could label this angle in the reverse order of the letters and label it CBD. These two things are the same. They mean the same angle as long as the B for the vertex is in the middle. Something else here, you'll notice that we have this number 1 and number 2 here. Sometimes we label an angle by its number. So we could have angle 1 and we could have angle 2. So that's just another way of labeling angles. So hopefully that helps you to remember some of the things you may have learned from previous math courses about naming points, lines, and angles.